Senator Britt.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, and witnesses for being here today. Just to comment on what Senator Reid said, I think when we're looking at this kind of sort of uncharted territory, what I don't want to see is us end up in a space where we are like social media right now or other things where you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Figuring out, having tough conversations, putting up guardrails in this space so that we can allow for innovation to flourish here in America versus other places, I think is critically important. And I hope that this body takes that seriously so that we can continue to lead, because we know that this is the race that matters. So I'm eager to work with my colleagues on this, and certainly appreciate the willingness to have the hearing today. Since this hearing is focused on capital markets, I'm going to just start there, obviously, about the strength and dominance of our U.S. capital markets. Take any meaningful metrics, whether it's size or market share, liquidity, innovation, accessibility, et cetera, all types of investors, we have far exceeded the remainder of the world, which is why it is so troubling to me during the last administration to see individuals in financial regulatory positions push policies that, in my belief, could severely damage that. You look at, for instance, Chairman Gensler's predictive analysis rule proposal, which just completely undermined the well-established technologies used by financial firms for years. Now, contrary to this, I want to point out the Alabama Securities Commission and what they have done, being forward-thinking and supportive of responsible innovation. They just established a financial innovation division in the state to help facilitate the responsible use of AI, particularly for our smallest businesses. We know that industries are using AI for things like underwriting or personal financial products, or to save operational costs that otherwise would be passed down to the consumer. But of course, we know there are also risks. And we've heard a little bit about that today, the massive surge in financial fraud in forms of AI-powered impersonation schemes and deep fakes or synthetic identities. And I heard the ranking member obviously mention social media. Would love to partner on that, because we see that getting out of control. We see what it's doing to the next generation, and I think we have got to be forward-looking on that. And today is the day. But if you're talking about financial fraud, consumers lost $12.5 billion in fraud last year. That's a 25% increase from 2023. And if you're looking at, impersonation scams, I think it's a 148% increase from April of 2024 to March of 2025. I mean, that is frightening, and we know that the American citizen is ultimately literally paying the price. So we've got to think through these factors, and one of the things that's been raised to me time and time again is AI-powered trading bots in equity trading. And I want to get your thoughts on that, because on one hand, this type of real market analysis can mean better liquidity, it can mean better price discovery, but on the other hand, there are certainly risks when there is minimal human intervention. And so I'll start, Dr. Cohen, with you, or Mr. Cohen. Perhaps you can speak to that. I'm curious of how these AI-generated tools can facilitate trading and execution while preserving the incredible integrity of our markets.
Thank you for your question, Senator. And I think it builds on Senator Warren's question. And there's a few things to note there. One is the firms themselves, are they regulated or not? We have to ask ourselves that question. If they're not regulated firms, then they're accessing our markets through regulated firms. And those regulated firms have to have proper controls in place. There are market access rules that exist today that we probably need to build on and make sure that we're taking into consideration any additional risks posed by AI. If the firm itself is registered, then it has accountability for testing any algorithms they put into the market, testing any of the models that they would then present into the market for trading. Because as you may recall, in 2012, we had the Knight Capital incident where they had an algorithm that went rogue. And as a result of that, there was a lot of rules that were put in place into the markets. One was on the broker-dealer side, two was on the market access side more generally, and three on the exchange side. They asked us to put tools in place to mitigate any of the risks that would appear in the market. And maybe, again, to the broader question, we then collaborate with other markets and harmonize to make sure that our rule sets are clear about how we're going to handle that situation. And the last thing we want to see is a tsunami come through the market where there's a deconstruction of demand or deconstruction of supply. and not know how to handle that, not only at our market, but more broadly across the entire market. So there's been work over the last 10 years plus to ensure that we're putting rules in place. We're going to have to revisit them to make sure that, belts and braces are there for any new, if you will, new innovation or new risk that will be posed by, if you will, agentic AI, and especially models that are hard to reproduce the issue. So if you can't reproduce the issue quickly, you can't fix the issue. So those are the kinds of things we're going to be thinking about.
And Mr. Chairman, I'm out of time, but I have some questions for everyone. I'll submit those for the record. Thank you.